You often hear Disney Parks fans saying, I wish there was a place where all of the defunct rides could go after they've been removed. Well, there is. It's Tokyo Disneyland.
Whilst the American parks are constantly making changes to even their most beloved attractions, OLC, the operators of Tokyo Disney Resort, do this far less often, resulting in many parts of the park featuring things that have been missing from the American parks for decades.
Take Pirates of the Caribbean, for example. It's always had its controversies.
As in its opening version, it featured heavy misogyny, which was deemed offensive by the pirate community. Tokyo Disneyland have kept up with the times to some degree, as they added Captain Jack Sparrow, Captain Barbossa, and the Davy Jones mist effect after the success of the movie franchise. But the most controversial change to the ride in the American and French versions in recent years has been the changing of the auction scene to remove the depiction of women being bought and sold by men, not to mention the mocking of the broader woman who was being sold. In 2022, Tokyo Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean ride had a 7-month closure to undergo a huge refurb. But to our surprise, when it reopened, the scene was still there completely untouched. In fact, the whole ride hadn't changed at all. Turns out they were just replacing the ceiling after 40 years of wear and tear. So, still to this day, the classic Mark Davis scene can be experienced here in Tokyo.
Next up, we're in the hub in the center of the park, right next to the castle, where you'll find this hidden gem of an attraction, the Omnibus.
The Omnibus circles around the hub and drops you off at the bus stop where you boarded. Which might seem a bit pointless, but it's really nice to admire this area from an elevated level. And you can get some great photos too. It's on these iconic vehicles that you can see ride posters showcasing all of the different attractions around the park. These posters used to feature on the omnibuses at Walt Disney World and Disneyland, but have since been replaced with advertisements for the different shops and eateries on Main Street in Magic Kingdom and a sign reading Disneyland Transportation Co. in Disneyland. But in Tokyo, you still get to see these unique landscape versions of the iconic ride posters. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit subscribe down below so you don't miss the next one.
Speaking of transportation, Toontown in Disneyland in California recently underwent a big revamp, but the one here in Tokyo hasn't changed since it opened in 1996.
Sadly, the Jolly Trolley no longer moves, but you can still sit on it for a photo op. You can still see Donald's boat and Gadget's Go Coaster the way they were before the refurbishment. Goofy's Bounce House is long gone here, as it was replaced in 2012 with the fun little interactive game Goofy's Paint and Play House, which I really enjoy as it reminds me of the stuff you used to find at Innoventions at Epcot. And the Town Hall is still here too, right next to the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin ride. Whilst the ride thankfully survived California's big Toontown renewal, the ride in Tokyo still features Jessica Rabbit in her sparkling dress, as opposed to the ridiculous yellow trench coat she now wears in Anaheim's version. She can't help being bad, she was just drawn that way.
We're now in Westernland, where you can see the infamous burning settler's cabin.
When it was first built in Disneyland, it was accompanied by a grisly and problematic depiction of a pilgrim who had been shot with an arrow by hostile Native Americans, who had then torched his home. It underwent many changes over the years, until eventually, in 2007, when the Pirates of the Caribbean commandeered Tom Sawyer Island, the hut had its windows and roof boarded up, ensuring that the fire effect would never return. Magic Kingdom had a similar scene which also stopped burning around 2005, but in Tokyo, if you ride the Western River Railroad or the Mark Twain Riverboat, you'll see the cabin still burning away to this day. I want my house to be made of whatever this hut's made from.
On the topic of problematic depictions, let's tentatively tiptoe over to another attraction.
The Jungle Cruise in Disneyland has probably undergone more changes than any other Disney ride, and even the ride in Tokyo had a massive overhaul in 2014 to refresh some of the scenes and make it more enjoyable at nighttime. One of these changes was to Trader Sam, so that rather than selling the freaky shrunken heads, he's now selling these much more palatable and marketable accessories that adorn each of the vehicles. But the scene that remains untouched in Tokyo compared with the American parks is the classic Lost Safari scene. Whilst in the American parks the scene was changed to depict a group of explorers, in Tokyo it continues to be the single hunter at the top of the pole, whilst his 4 porters are lower down.
A lot of these changes were very controversial when they happened in the American parks, but if you want to see the most controversial change, you want to watch this video next.